India has one of the oldest legal systems in the world. The first jury trial decided by an English jury in India happened in Madras, now Chennai, in 1665, for which Essentia Dawes was charged by a grand jury with the murder of her slave girl. Today, on an average, over 30,000 cases are disposed each day all across India. Yet, even today, citizens largely remain unaware of the laws and thus ill-equipped to fight for their rights. Legal needs always stand to become crisis-oriented because their ignorance prevents people from anticipating legal troubles and approaching a lawyer for consultation in time. This magnifies the impact of the legal troubles considerably. We talked to a few people to better understand the situation in India and how we may be able to solve this problem.
How much do you know about the Indian laws?
Well, not much actually.
Not so much.
Not much really, but then I did have it as a subject.
সত্যি কথা বলতে ইন্ডিয়ান ল সম্বন্ধে আমার কোনো স্পষ্ট ধারণা নেই।
Not so much.
ইন্ডিয়ান লজ ব্যাপারে এই যে যতটা পেপার পড়ে জানি।
Whatever I read in school, in civics, that's all I can recollect.
কিন্তু সিভিলের ব্যাপার যা পেপারে পড়ি ব্যক্তিগত জীবনে তো খুব একটা কিছু দরকার না, মোটামুটি জানি আর কি।
Have you ever tried to read the Indian Penal Code?
No, I have never tried to read the Indian Penal Code. I don't think, it's not necessary, I guess. I don't.
এইসব নিয়ে আমার সত্যি কথা বলতে অত অ্যাওয়ারনেস নেই।
Whatever I know is partial knowledge.
No, never. Absolutely not.
Penal Code কিছুটা জানি।
No, I haven't really tried to read the penal code.
না তো?
No, not really.
I mean, you can't get it, you can't understand it by yourself.
Do you think you are completely aware of your rights?
I have obviously read in the newspapers about the rights, but I don't know all of the rights.
No, not completely, actually. Not completely.
No, and I think that's a big drawback. I mean, especially even after having studied it.
আমরা গণতান্ত্রিক দেশের লোক, আমাদের যা রাইট আছে সেগুলো নিয়েই আমরা ভাবি, আর তার বেশি তো আর কিছু জানি না, আমাদের ক্ষমতা যতটুকু আছে।
We have some freedom of speech and freedom of expression and things like that, but I do not know we exercise them all the time.
No, basically we should all know about this, but I don't think so.
If there were a system where you could find the laws and amendments in a concise and simplified manner, do you think that would be helpful to the common people?
Definitely. So if we get some platform where all these data and information are accessible, if we can have some keywords and just search the stuff that we want.
জানতে পারবো আমরা, এগুলো করা উচিত। সব তো আমরা জানি না, ওগুলো যদি প্রচার হয় তবে খুবই ভালো।
Yes, absolutely. It can be very helpful. Yeah, I think absolutely.
Yes, I think it would be very helpful to the common public. Yeah, that would be really helpful for the people.
If a normal person starts reading the Indian Penal Code, or for that matter any other statute, it would be difficult for him or her to understand. So if there was a particular way, a particular resource, anything that would help the normal public, the general public, to interpret, to understand these laws well, then that would be of use.
What is the Indian Penal Code?
From the very name, it's actually a list of, it's a code as to how you punish a person.
Indian Penal Code basically has been introduced by the British to punish people if they violate the code. It's a codified version of criminal law.
Indian Penal Code is an act which is enacted in the year 1860, bearing number 45.
Indian Penal Code is a codified laws which contains the provision for if you commit any crime, what will be the penal provisions.
According to you, how much effort does it take to understand the Indian laws?
Actually huge.
Actually, what happens is our laws are written in English. So for the layman, it's very difficult to understand.
All the laws are taken from English law, and the languages are very difficult for common layman.
It's difficult. Any law, it's difficult to understand, and if it is penal code, it is more difficult to understand.
In your opinion, for a layman, is the Indian Penal Code understandable?
They would not be able to understand the law unless it is explained and stated before them with respect to the offense committed.
Sometimes it is not, and most of the times it is not.
Not for all laymen. The Indian Penal Code was drafted in the British period. Educated people can understand if we can make them understand actual spirit. But for all laymen, indeed, it is not very much understandable.
Can you walk us through some of the examples of the complexities in the language the law is presented in?
Yeah, there are sections in Indian Penal Code wherein you have to read and as or at times or as and.
The legal language in India have derived from English language. Mother source was from Latin also. So many of the expressions are there which are basically coming from Latin. And secondly, as if we want to cover a particular situation, we have to write it down, the every possible circumstances. In general sense, it comes up as a complex sense.
One short example: order in rem or order in personam, which is mean order in rem means a order which is applicable only a person basically, or in rem means which is applicable throughout the community who are suffering the same problem.
Do you think it will be beneficial to the public if the laws could be presented to them in a concise and simplified manner, irrespective of the way it is there in all the law books?
Definitely. For instance, the Dowry Prohibition Act, or for instance, laws relating to children. These are laws which really, or the marriage laws, divorce laws, which we really need to simplify and let them know what means what happens where. That is very important.
Of course.
Ignorance of law is non-excusat. That means ignorance of law is no excuse. But if we can make people understand whatever law is actually, it will be easier for them to understand or act accordingly.
The law should be clearly elaborated and must have to be explained before any lay person so that they could understand the law, they could understand the act in a right way.